Hi, I'm Dr. Sanchita Chowdhury, educational and child psychologist, and today we're going to be thinking about brain development and emotion coaching. So how does mental health develop? Let's think about some of the brain basics. The brain can be split into two rudimentary parts, the downstairs brain and the upstairs brain. For the downstairs brain, or what we call the reptile brain, this is in charge of acting instinctively, making split-second decisions, your fight and flight mode. The mammal brain, or the upstairs brain, is more in charge of your decision-making and allows us to think before we act. Dan Siegel, American psychiatrist, has a really great way of modelling this through the hand model. For those of you just listening, I'm going to talk you through this step by step. So, for the hand model of the brain, we can think about our hand facing forwards, palm facing forwards, and then we think about your wrist being the brainstem, and then your thumb, when folded inwards, is your limbic system. So that includes your hippocampus and your amygdala, that mammal brain we talked about. We then think about the fingers on top as your prefrontal cortex. So those are the parts that are in charge of making your decisions. What Dan Siegel talks about is if we fold our fingers downwards, the prefrontal cortex now covering the limbic part of our brain. Dan talks about stresses in the environment, such as maybe a nagging child, or when you're getting a little bit stressed with your environment, you might flip your lid, therefore taking away all that part of the thinking part of your brain and only using the limbic part of your brain. Split-second decisions and acting impulsively. So let's think about our responses to stress. What about when we're just about to flip our lid? What's happening in our bodies? Well, a little bit of stress is very normal, and it's actually very helpful to our development. For example, if you're preparing for an interview or a test, you might get some physiological changes, like an increase in your heart rate or some sweating. But then after the event, you know that you've managed to get through it. And when that situation is faced again, you can get through that part too. However, extended pieces of stress can be damaging for your body. We also have something called the vagus nerve, which has its own response to stressful situations. It acts as a brake on those physical reactions that your body may be having. Vagal tone is how well our fight and flight response and vagus nerve balance with each other and work together. When you have good vagal tone, you have faster responses, faster information processing, better concentration. But when you have poor vagal tone, you might have less speedy responses, poor processing and poor concentration, which you would see in the school environment. Vagal tone is activated by soothing, compassion, physical comfort and empathy. Relationships teach us to self-soothe, and the environments and genetics contribute to our vagal tone. What does the research show? Emotion coaching helps children and young people to understand the different emotions they experience, why they occur, and how to handle them. Parents who have become good at emotion coaching believe their child's feelings are important, their child's feelings are okay, even if their actions aren't. Experiencing negative emotions such as sadness or anger is important. Negative feelings are an opportunity for problem solving. So how does this fit with parenting styles? John Gottman, an American psychologist, talks about 4 different styles. We all as parents may use these styles at different times, being impacted by our own experiences of parenting and through what we have learnt over time. The first style is a dismissive style, low empathy and low guidance. So, I know you miss mummy, let's have some cookies. The second style is disapproving, low empathy and high guidance. I know you're scared of the dark, but just go back in, it will be fine. The next style is laissez-faire, high empathy but low guidance. I'm so sorry your brother took away your toy. And the last style, emotion coaching. This is high empathy and high guidance. So come over here and talk to me. Let's think about what happened and what we can do to help you. So what does emotion coaching entail? It involves empathizing, validating, and labeling. Recognize behaviour as communication. Look for physical and verbal signs of the emotion being felt and take on the child's perspective. Use words to reflect back the child's emotion and help them to label these. Affirm, empathise, and allow time to calm down. Provide a narrative for the emotional experience. In psychology, we call this a cognitive link. Let's put that in an example where you're trying to intervene in a fight between siblings. I can see you're really upset your brother took your favourite toy. I would be upset if someone took something important away from me. It's okay to feel upset, but it's not okay to hit as it isn't safe. Let's move away from here and talk about what happened. What's important about emotion coaching is making sure that you provide a time when the child is feeling calmer to talk about this. They're then more able to take on the teaching that you are giving them. Hi, my name is Dr. Sanchita Chowdhury and I'm an educational psychologist, also known as a school or a child psychologist. You can find me on Instagram @PsychTraveller or on LinkedIn as Dr. Sanchita Chowdhury. I've just been filming some content with MindFriend. They're an educational, digital platform combating misinformation of mental health through accredited professionals. Keep an eye out for my upcoming content.